Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another edition of In the Ladies Room with Nikki and Michele. We are here with a special New Year's edition just to give us a little review from 2023 and to give you all a chance to come into the room and say hello. We've been missing you it's been over 2 years since we've actually gone live in the ladies' room. And we just welcome you back. We hope you will hit like and share. Remember, we are streaming here on Facebook and YouTube. And I believe, I think we're on the Facebook, YouTube, and so that might just be it. I have to add another one later. But welcome back. And Michele, are you up? Is your mic ready? Are you ready? We talking? What's going on?
I think so. Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I hear you loud and clear, my dear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hey, I don't know who this Facebook person is. It says Facebook user. If you would just please share that you would allow your name to come up, we'll know who you are. But if not, you can type your name in. We'll see who you are. But hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Michele, you're going to greet your people? Or
Everybody.
because we know how you get excited
Or
about your movie.
Facebook user.
Remember, come in and like, share, add your comments, compliments, your affirmations. Remember, it's been a long 2 years since we've seen you, but we hope that not much has changed. And if it has, that it's changed for the better. We're going to start and kick off our 2024 by saying that I hope that last year wasn't so bad and that this year will be even better. But we have lots of topics that we would like to kick out there to you. First, starting with, I want to ask Michele, what were your favorite hot topics of 2023?
Favorite hot time. 2023 was a blur, first of all, kind of like my video tonight. Um, it was just so many ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. But like you said, I don't want to dwell too much on the downs. Hope that everybody that's coming in the room tonight have more ups than downs. We claiming more ups than 2024. But it was just a lot, wasn't it? It was just a lot. Just here, recently, it just seemed like it's a whole bunch of mess going on. Where do we even begin with all the stuff, all the stuff? I'll start with one of the more recent things. What y'all got to say about this Jonathan Majors situation?
Mhm.
I want to hear from the ladies. I want to hear from the ladies. What y'all got to say about this?
I do too, but you know I got a lot to say about
I know you got a lot to say, and as all of it was going on, I kept thinking to myself, Nikki probably shaking her head saying, see, that's what happens when you mess with these white girls. And I was just looking at something now. Now is she an actress too?
I really don't know who she is. I've never heard of her before she was dating this guy.
I was just looking at something where they said that the girl still continues to have all her roles, but Jonathan Majors got pulled off of all of these things. So I'm like, well, was she an actress? I don't know what she does either. I can't remember.
Mm.
That doesn't really mean anything because I surely missed it. But it's always interesting to see that double standard that always happens and continues to happen when It's the age old. We know the double standard. We know it. We know it. I'm stressed out because I feel like the fact that we still see it so prevalent in 2023 and 2024 is disheartening. You know, same situations, same scenarios, but if it's a black person, they want to just bury them. They just want to completely bury them. Where, white men, white women, white people in general have done things that have been equally egregious. Not to even say that what he did, because he was trying to get away from her. I don't want to be all over the place in the scenario, but he was trying to get away from her. At the end of the day, it was a little tussle here and there, but she was fighting him to even get out the car. So,
Mhm.
like, all she needed to do was close the door and let him go. And
Mhm.
that would have been the end of the whole scenario. But no, now she chasing him up and down the street. And it's like you want to go into these courtrooms and see these people and be like, y'all don't see this? Like, you don't see what's all going on? Like, let him go. If he's trying to leave, if he's saying, leave me alone, and you still chasing him down the street,
Mhm.
that's a problem.
Mhm. So,
That's the problem.
to just give you well, like you said, you don't want to get all in the scenario. I want to get all in the scenario because the scenario is very layered. And the first thing that you have to recognize is it's obvious that for some reason they were able to set up a pattern of really a real tumultuous relationship between the two of them. So you know how I also, somebody put here that y'all know how I feel about domestic violence, but she played a role in what happened. So of course I don't condone domestic violence in any situation, not verbally, not physically, not emotionally at all. But here's the situation that I find very troublesome. When we talk about racism, white supremacy, we have to understand that racism and white supremacy is an ideology. And the ideology of racism, white supremacy is always to uphold a way of thinking. And the problem with this scenario is this: as much as he tried to get away, and as much as we saw that, she held some responsibility for what happened, the real issue was not necessarily what happened that night. Because if you know the testimony, he had eventually gotten away from her that night. And he went back home in the morning to find her after
In his
she
house.
came back out in their apartment that they shared together, but she was passed out on the floor and he was afraid for her. And his being afraid for her, he called the cops. But here's
Hmm.
where that racism, white supremacy ideology sneaks in, that the black man is always the boogeyman. So when they came to that house, they came to the house,
Expecting to
he
get
had
him.
called, and he had called for her to help her. But instead, they turned the whole situation around on a domestic abuse. And now, let me tell you what I do know about domestic abuse. Suppose that had happened in New Jersey and they were in New York at the time when they found him. When they would not have had a case, there would be no charges that they could have filed. They would have had to go all the way into New Jersey where it had happened to have a case. But the problem for me was that the case that they did have, she obviously had to be in cooperation with the prosecution for that case to go forward, because they had no other evidence other than the scratches that she had, but he had some as well. So you don't know where it happened. You don't know what happened. And all the evidence that was shown to me, was in his defense. She even said she started the incident. The driver said that she started the incident, even though he said he didn't actually see it. He said from what he could hear, it sounded like she started.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the bigger problem is not necessarily the domestic violence because we don't know what happened. The bigger problem is that we have a system that just totally negated the the facts at hand and saw him as the boogeyman and totally obliterated his career in one fell swoop.
Yeah.
And the danger in that is whenever you call the police, even if you call them for yourself, black men are always going to be in danger. Because if he had not called the police, nobody would have never been the wiser about what was going on with them unless something else came up at a later date.
Right.
And now they totally, and to me, the jury also plays a part in it because they totally vilified him with that guilty sentence. And I'm telling you, the reason in my mind that they did it, it had nothing to do with the domestic violence. It had everything to do with this black man. How dare you say that
Right.
a white woman wasn't great enough for you and compare her to other great black women? Now that's what I know.
Specifically, I know Michelle Obama was one, and I forgot who the other person. Oh,
Rosa
Coretta
Parks
Scott
and
King.
Martin Luther King's wife, Coretta Scott King.
Yeah, yeah. Like, boy, bye.
But I wasn't at that point. I really, really didn't feel too bad for him because, first of all, if you wanted a great woman, you should have married a great black woman.
Exactly.
Uh, so
Because
that
they out here.
they out here. I see two of them right here. Hey.
Okay. Okay. There you have it. You heard it. You heard it first. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
I don't want to change topics too rapidly.
Mhm.
And for anybody who's on the line, please feel free to add to the chat any comments, any questions, any thoughts, any additions. But we got a lot we want to talk about. So, Nikki, what's your thoughts these days on Miss Jada Pinkett Smith?
Oh, that was a hot topic, though, I have to say. So I guess I have to talk about it since it was a hot topic. First of all, let me just say this. I feel really bad for Will because I really feel like he really, really loves this woman. And her, I don't want to say a mean thing about a black woman because they say if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing. But in this instance, I'm going to make an exception. She's very weird. I'm telling
Weird, weird how?
you, in this way. She's supposed to be this black woman who's upholding black positivity. And then at every turn, it seems like she has no problem with emasculating her own husband.
Right.
And to me, that's the very thing that black men complain about black women. And it makes us as black women almost look like we're very ungrateful. Now, I don't know what goes on in their marriage because I can't say I'm not there. I just feel like whatever does go on in a marriage should stay in a marriage. You don't always have to publicize what is going on between you and your husband for the
Right.
world to
The
see.
whole world don't need.
They don't need to see that. It's bad enough you put your weird ass looking kids out there to see that something is going awry.
I really do believe as time has gone on over time, I'm really starting to believe that she suffers from a lot of trauma.
From what?
From a lot of trauma. Like
Oh,
she's had,
sure.
we already know she didn't have the greatest upbringing, so to speak. But when I see her now, there's a lot of trauma. I also, dare I say, a lot of insecurities. Um, tons of manipulation.
Mhm.
Like there's something going on there for sure. There's definitely something going on. But what it is and what it stems from
Well, you hit
is
it on the head, though.
what?
Trauma is one thing.
Right.
She has had trauma in her life. She's talked about it. The trauma she went through with her parents as addicts. So she has had trauma. But what I will tell you that I do know about trauma and people who survive and go through traumatic incidents is that they do learn how to manipulate. It's a
Oh,
coping skill that they use to survive. So
right.
even though she's wealthy, she's beautiful, she's married, has a beautiful husband or whatever they got going on over there, and her family seems to be a little bit more stable now. The fact that she still lives in survival mode tells you that it's just she still has work to do on herself, that she still, as beautiful as she is, as smart as she is, that she still on some level has a lot of insecurity. And that's
Absolutely.
why she stays in survival mode. And with survival mode comes manipulation.
I wonder if she ever questions whether or not she's worthy of
Of
Will.
course, of course. I guarantee you that's
Interesting.
of course.
Interesting. And
Of course.
that's
I'm
why
sure she has a
that's
lot of
probably why she's always putting him in positions where it's like he has to constantly prove himself.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I do I even really belong here? I mean, how did I get? I'm sure she probably has a little bit of that there too. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a comment here. I feel like Will and Jada, as rich and famous as they are seeking clickbait. I agree with everything you guys are saying about them, but they are attention seekers. That's that Hollywood mess. They must stay relevant.
I think that's definitely the case with Jada. Definitely.
Yeah, because I feel like Will could be, if he if he leave her alone,
Right.
almost. You know what I mean? Because
But the
his
whole
business is
family.
always stacked. Yeah, his
But I think
business is always stacked.
the kids are attention seekers as well. I think they like the little clickbait. That's why you think the little son always dressing so oddly.
Yeah. So
I,
another Facebook user said Will acts like he has low self esteem as well.
I
But I believe that comes from her.
exactly. I was gonna say the same thing.
I think she perpetuates that. That's that whole manipulation tactic. I think she makes him feel insecure.
Mhm.
He's just in a constant battle trying to figure out what she wants.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with
Yeah,
that.
they do it to stay relevant.
So what else about what else could I talk about this before we go into the? Can I talk about Beyonce? I
Oh,
gotta
girl,
just keep going.
go ahead and talk about B.
First of all, there you go again with that. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but with that white supremacist thing, because all summer long, all you heard about is Taylor Swift this, Taylor Swift that. And when I tell you she cannot even
Hold a
wash
candle.
Beyonce's dishes, because I went to see that movie. And when I tell you there's nobody like her, there's
Yeah, I
nobody like
still
her.
want to see the movie. I hope they put it on streaming.
I wish I would have been able to go to the concert. That would have really been a treat. But what I think about her, what really strikes me is this, not to get too deep into it, but and people always talk about Beyonce because they talk about, you know, her being sacrilegious and all of these different things they say about her in reference to the church. What I do understand about Beyonce is I really believe that she understands what it is to have a God potential. And when I say a God potential, it is something that we are all innately born with. Whether we tap into it or not, we have that thing in all of us that can do wondrous things if we use it. And I think that she really puts it out there on display for everybody to see that this is what I'm doing when I'm doing, because literally the way she moves is like magic. If you watch that concert, I've never seen anybody, no star ever, dance and sing and move and run through that crowd the way she does, and still at the top level. Like you don't see her really miss a beat.
Hmm.
I really am in awe. I really am in awe.
Well, you know what a lot of that is about.
Here's your message for you.
She being dirty, I know.
I
And
love it.
I'll just say no, it's not. But you know what all of that is truly about when it comes to Beyonce. I have to tell you,
Uh-huh.
she's a Virgo like me.
Oh, I forgot about that aspect.
She is a Virgo like me, and so I get her. And I have to say, I love Beyonce. I'm not out at chasing after her concerts. I'm
Mm,
still hoping to go see the movie, but
mm,
right. um Virgos have that tendency that, if it's something that they're really passionate about, they're gonna go hard, they're going to put their all into it. The integrity behind a Virgo is in the stratosphere, right? Which means she's gonna dedicate everything she has to this craft because and she's an artist, right? She's a true artist in every sense of the word. So I
mm.
think the comparison between her and Taylor Swift is because they simply don't know any better.
I
Listen,
think
at
they
the
do
end
know
of the
that.
day, what they know, you're right, they do know
They
better.
do know
At the
that.
end of the day, what they know, what they clearly know, which is what they're ultimately afraid of, they already know we pretty much better at everything. We're
Mm,
pretty much better at everything, but they're not going to give us the credit for it, right?
mm-mm,
I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. They are not going to give us the credit for it. So any opportunity that they have to try and blow up one of her counterparts, they're going to do it.
mhm. And that's what they did. Because I mean, I kept saying, "Where's the coverage for Beyonce?" Because her concerts was selling out just as much.
Yeah.
She toured just as much. I mean, the movie just solidified her in my mind. I always knew she was a star, but
Hmm.
when I saw the movie and the dedication that she had to that craft,
Right.
it really made me have a different kind of respect for her. Because in my mind, I've said this before, I even wrote it in my book. I believe that the universe bestows on you a certain kind of path or open door if you say yes to your greatness. Once you align yourself with that, if there's anything that you want to do, if I really, really align myself with getting up out of this wheelchair, I probably could. If I align myself with that, and I really believe that people have that potential. So, but to see her on the other hand work that potential, it's unbelievable. It's like you see sometimes people with special talents or special gifts that they could do things or manipulate their bodies in certain ways, and you so amazed. It's because they've allowed themselves to really tap into what they've been given and
Hmm.
really work it. I think everybody in the universe has that, but everybody in the universe just they don't work it.
Well, then maybe, but I think they also just don't have the capacity to do it. right? They're unaware of what's involved, what that
I
means,
agree.
how to achieve that.
Mhm.
Um, so it's
Some
a
people
lot.
don't realize that they even have it.
Right.
That's
That
that's
part.
that's a big one. They don't realize they have it.
Right. I didn't see the movie, but I also heard that you get to see a really different side of her
Mhm.
in the movie.
Yeah, with her children, how she raised her children. I was impressed at how she raising her children right too, because she has her daughter touring with her, and her
Hmm.
daughter is allowed to, sit in with her in the meetings and put in her input or whatever. And Beyonce had to correct her and tell her, look now, because look now, enough. Now, when mommy is talking, I mean, she just like put her in her place in such a loving, motherly way. And you really see that
Right.
from stars. So I thought I like that part of it. So
Because a lot of stars ain't even raising their own kids.
exactly.
That's a whole other
Yeah.
topic. But
Yeah. Her
they
kids go
having all these
everywhere with
babies.
her.
They
They
having all these babies and the nannies is taken care of
uh-huh.
somewhere else.
Yeah. So that
So
was good. So okay, before I got there, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before I go here? Because this might upset some people.
all right, then before we go there, I'm curious, did anybody watch the Dave Chappelle special? Because I love me some
Which
Dave Chappelle.
one? And he got a new one out?
Yeah, it just came out New Year's Eve. It premiered New Year's Eve on Netflix. It's called Dreamer.
I didn't see it.
Dreamer. It's kind of short. It's only an hour long. But yeah, I just wanted to. You didn't see it, so I can't really go into it then. And I don't want to do any giveaways, but I was just wondering. It's interesting though, because some of the feedback has been a little up and down, up and down. People are saying, well, he wasn't his funniest. It was okay.
Mm,
This, that, and the other thing. But I thought he was amazing. But then again, I love me some Dave Chappelle.
I do too. And he's one of
Oh,
those
so
comics that you gotta have. You have to understand. He's not always coming for the crack up laugh. He's really trying to hit your intellect.
and that's why I think I like him. That's why I think I like him because he always has, in my opinion, a very interesting perspective on things, an interesting take on things, and I'm always, and they always comical to me. The way he responds, and he's a storyteller. I love a good
Yeah, good
storyteller.
story.
Um, I'm always I'm always interested and intrigued by the way he tells a joke, by the way he tells a story that also gives you kind of a glimpse of his perception, his mental processing of a particular situation. But I only brought it up because we were talking about Jada and Will earlier,
Mhm.
and he has a couple of jokes in there about that whole incident. But again, I don't want to give
Oh,
anything
I'm
away,
gonna watch it
especially
tonight on Netflix.
yeah, on
Tonight,
Netflix. I don't want to
tonight.
give anything away for anybody who didn't see it, but I'd be curious if we get an opportunity to do this again. I'm gonna make a note and see what everybody thought about it. That's your homework.
That's
And the
my.
same thing, and then one more thing before you go into your stuff. Another thing that I noticed, a lot of people are doing that whole kind of thing to the color purple.
Right.
I mean,
I
I
saw
don't know. Some
this.
people said they could have advertised it better, right? Because it's a musical. So first of all, I don't even like musicals, but I enjoyed the movie.
I thought they did a
I
lot of good
enjoyed the movie.
advertising.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I just said I thought they did good advertising.
No, they did really good advertising, but people are complaining because they're like, oh, it was a musical. It was not like the movie, not like the original. Some people are complaining all the scenes that they left out. But
Mhm.
I think what a lot of people aren't understanding is that, first of all, it's an adaptation of the play and not the movie.
Right.
So, and then, again, a lot of people really don't care for musicals. I thought it was amazing. Who knew? Taraji P. Henson.
Kasim,
What?
I heard.
I heard a couple people say, please, she did better than Fantasia.
What?
Yes.
I gotta see that.
Yes. I've heard a couple of read a couple of comments where they was like, please, she could have did all the singing.
What?
She did a wonderful job. A wonderful job. Taraji killed that role. Like I don't even after seeing her, I almost can't even remember the original Suge.
Really?
Yes, because
That
for
good?
me, Taraji embodied Suge.
Uh-huh.
Like I could see it. I believed it. You know what I'm saying? And she's a great actress. And once again, another opportunity for us to see the disparities, right? That's why she's in her feelings about not being.
I don't blame her. Because they
Yep.
said that from what it looked like, Oprah tried to short her until she must have came to her senses. Because
Wait,
she,
say that again.
it looks like maybe they tried to short her with this role until they came to
That's
this.
what yeah, that's what the rumors are.
Hmm.
That's what the rumors are. Everybody's saying she had beef with Oprah. I don't know. I didn't see the beef.
I didn't see the beef either.
I didn't see the beef, so I don't know.
People want
I
to
mean,
make a beef where there's no beef all the time.
yeah, but we'll see. Anywho, I had to get with that.
I'm glad you
Everybody, make
mentioned
sure
that
you
because
watch the Dave Chappelle.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I had that here as something that I wanted to bring up because I noticed that you went to see it.
Oh yeah,
I asked you about it. Yeah.
yeah. Thought it was great. I am excited to see that. Um, you know, the community is. I heard that the ratings and everything were really good. But I have to say, I've seen a couple people on social media talking about how they had to walk out the movie. I'm like, walk out the movie? Yeah, there's some social media critics with no credentials out there talking about how they had to walk out the movie.
Well, that's
So
why you have to have a thick skin to even be bothered with entertainment because you're never gonna make everybody happy. That's just that.
it's not just entertainment, it's life.
Yeah, yeah, you're
It's
right.
life. It's
You're
always,
never
I
gonna
don't
make
care how
everybody happy.
nice you are, how good you are, there's always that one person or certain people, whatever, that's not gonna like you for whatever reason. It took me a lot of years
Mhm,
to understand that fact, always thinking that it's me, it's me, it's me. No, it's not me. That's
mhm,
your you know, road to get to that understanding.
uh-huh. You cutting out a little bit on some in some. You keep it over there.
Okay, I'm sorry. But
That's
you go ahead with some of your topics.
well. No, this is a topic. It's not really my topic. It's a topic that is hot, but I want to come from it from a different perspective because I know everybody has heard about the allegations that Chris Keys is making about some anonymous person that sexually assaulted him. But in those allegations, a few names have come up. So,
Mm.
one, I want to say that I feel like he's dead wrong to put that out there and not put a name out because once you start putting names out, I don't care how many different names, other people are putting names out, and then now you having thoughts in your mind about people who may be totally innocent. So I think that he was wrong to do that. If he wasn't ready to come out with exactly who it was, he probably should have kept it quiet until he was ready to till such time. But the big one is, of course, and everybody's talking about it. He's addressed it from the pulpit. Is the allegation that it could possibly be TD Jakes. So
Mm.
my thought was not necessarily whether he did it or not. That ain't even my concern. My concern is what does that say or what does that do to body of the church and the body of believers who might have issue with that. And we all know, as a Christian, the thought is we all fall short, and we all sin and fall short of the glory. We know that. But some people are still going to be hurt by even the allegation
Right.
or the presumption, especially when it's layered with other allegations of him having some kind of homosexual relationship with other people. So you know with that, I just kind of wanted to see what people were thinking, what you were thinking, um because that's really a serious issue that could hurt the church in some ways.
When they when topics like this come up for me that are so sensitive,
Hmm.
I have a tendency to want to stay away from it on so many levels. But you would have not to have heard about it, not to have, some thoughts about it, albeit you may keep them to yourself. But we having a conversation, so let's have.
Hmm.
Um, it's funny because I was even talking to Jimmy about it the other day, and um, so Jimmy, what you think about it? And
Hmm.
he said, what my pastor told me. People ask you about those things, just say I'm praying for them.
Hmm.
And I thought that was
Hmm.
an amazing response and an amazing answer because at the end of the day, that's what all these situations and circumstances really require, right? Just pray for. But that being said, it's a challenge for me because I understand that the higher you go with God, you become
Oh,
a
you break it
target.
down again. Okay, go
The
ahead.
higher you go with God, you become a target,
Hmm.
right? People gonna always be after you. But
Hmm.
then on the flip side of that coin, it's like everybody can't be lying.
Hmm. Hmm.
And on the flip side, I'm also thinking to myself, how did you even get mixed up in this conversation? What relationship, what correlation do you even have with Diddy to be involved personally with him like that? Not that they can't be friends. I'm not suggesting that. He could be friends with whoever he wants to be, but it's just like you put yourself in certain situations and it's triggering, right? Um I don't know. I was having this conversation as well with two of my girlfriends who were like, one was like, oh, absolutely, they need to be, shut out, they need to be set down. And the other girlfriend was like, well, I have a problem with us as so much faith and hope putting these pastors on pedestals when at the end of the day, they're just men
Hmm.
and they fall short and they sin and all that good stuff. So we even have somebody in the chat saying, being that we are all human, there will be a remit that may be caused to go astray. It happens. I don't know, but I guess, I think it's instinctual. I think it's natural for people to instinctively just kind of hold pastors and, you know,
Hmm.
I'm reluctant to say it, but like priests or clergy of any kind to a higher standard.
Hmm.
It's just unfortunate. It's
Well,
just
I'll be honest with you. I think they should be held to a higher standard. I understand that they are human, but when you are responsible for guiding souls, there are some things that you really have to do more to restrain from. So even the accusation, and we're talking about, these are just alleged and accusations that are alleged. We're not saying anybody did anything. I don't know. But what I'm saying is this, and I say this all the time. character is so important, which is why when I first heard it, I didn't even I didn't give it a second thought, because in my mind, that is not that is not the character I know of this person.
Right.
But you have to understand that your character can take you far or pull you back. And when those things came out about Puffy, again, they are alleged. I don't know what happened. I'm not accusing him of a doggone thing. But in the back of my mind, immediately I could say, I believe it. Now, with who he did it with, that's a different story. But I could believe those things about him because of his character.
Mm.
With TD Jakes, I don't know his character to be shady like that. So I
Right.
did not believe it. But when people start repetitively coming out with information like that, it's not that I believe it now, but you do think it gives you a chance for pause. And so what I'm saying is this, is that the church might suffer because of an accusation. And that's what I did not like about what Christian Keys did, is because he came out and he said something that left people to assume and accuse and put names out there that should not have been put out there. And I don't I for me, I'm more upset with him than anything,
Right.
because you are in danger. If he did do it or not, I don't know. You're not just endangering him, you are literally endangering millions of people who follow him and
Mm-hmm.
believe the word of God that he's preaching.
Mm-hmm.
Because trust me, you are going to have a lot of fallout, especially if any of those things are true. Because now you have a situation where these young kids, they half believe in Christianity anyway. And you're not going to have them put their stock and faith in something where most likely, I'm not saying, I don't know if it's true or not, I'm just saying where there's an accusation like that, and they know that they themselves have been criticized by the church for all kinds of behaviors, in particular homosexuality.
Right.
So I mean,
I think that for sure the church is definitely at risk of backlash. If nothing else, I mean, I've already seen it. To be perfectly honest with you, I've already seen it. I've seen it on social media. You know, our young people today, while I applaud them, they are, um, they just a whole different breed. They ask questions, they want to know. They're just approaching life differently from even the way that we did. And
and they
so after
should.
and they should. And so after all of these things start to take place and it becomes public knowledge, you immediately have those that are saying, see, this is why I don't go to church in the first
Mhm.
place myself. And that shouldn't be the answer. I don't necessarily agree with that answer.
Mhm.
Um, but you see it. But what's interesting to me, right, is because the first thing that we have to be really clear about is being a part of a congregation does not solely mean that you are subscribing solely to the pastor. You're not really there for the pastor. You're supposed to be following God. The pastor is the shepherd, right? He is the shepherd leading the sheep allegedly to God. That's how that's supposed to work.
Mhm.
And then you start to consider the character. By the way, it's interesting you brought that up. I don't know if anybody else on the line has also heard about this. A little segue, but it's different, but kind of the same thing. I don't know if anybody saw on Atlanta literally turned their New Year's Eve service into a club.
No.
And they had the videos that I saw,
Mm,
the one song that I heard was "Before I Let You Go," and this is in the sanctuary.
mm.
Another song I heard was a trap song, walk it back, something, walk
No
it back.
way.
I don't know who it was, but there is a lot of conversation around that. And he already spoke out about it, and he was on social media saying, yeah, y'all all complaining. I'm paraphrasing, but everybody complaining about, well, not everybody, but some people out there complaining about this, that, and the third. But what they're not saying is, 150 people, 100 and some odd people, yeah, walking it out. 100 people joined the church.
Mm-hmm.
So the conversation became, you got preachers out here now that are altering and watering down the word to try to appeal or appease to all these different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's concerning.
Mm-hmm.
That's concerning. Yeah. Yeah. It's like all over social media.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't. I have to look for that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, they was turning up in the church, in the sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know how I feel about that. It's one thing to have a good time in the Lord, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we still need to keep things decent and in order,
I agree.
right? We still need to keep things holy. We still need to have a reverence for God and, just not be willing
Well,
to
some
somebody
things I
else.
think I would say it this way. Some things should still remain sacred.
Right, right,
Hmm. And I
right.
think for me, if you ask me, I don't know. I don't know what the young kids will say, but in my mind, I feel like if you leave things sacred and stick to what it is that you're doing, to me that's less hypocritical. That to me, you're more because you are sticking to what you know. I would have more faith in it because I know you're not swayed every time the wind blow. But I don't know because we'll have that discussion for another time. But I have to share how my thoughts on the church, Christianity, all of that stuff in my life, which is
Hmm.
very different than most people. I think I've said that before. So yeah, that's that one with that particular topic. But we winding down here, and I kind of wanted to get this in before we close out because
Wait, real quick, real quick. Whatever happened to that pastor in New York that had all that expensive stuff? It said somebody robbed the church, and they
they
said,
got
I think,
robbed. Oh, I don't know what
yeah,
happened to him.
okay,
I don't know, but I remember that happened not too long ago,
yeah.
maybe about two
Martina
years,
said they've been
not
turning
last
up
year,
in
but the year.
church.
Uh-huh.
They've been turning up in churches for a long time. It's just being recorded and posted now. Oh wow.
Uh-huh. That's something else. But
Yes.
so yeah, this is a hot topic from last year, but it is going to affect us in the coming year with politics and voting. But we must at least touch a little bit on the war in Israel and Palestine and what's happening over there in Palestine. And you hear a lot of people come online, especially some of your big black thought leaders, and they say that they don't want to talk about it because we're not addressing what's going on in Sudan, and they care more about, well, not necessarily even care more about, but until something is being done about that situation in Sudan, they're not concerned about what's going on in Palestine. And I really feel like not only is that a silly statement, but it's also to some degree untrue because black people have always aligned themselves or helped out when they recognize a similar oppression with people all over the world. This is not the first time we've aligned ourselves with Palestine in that conflict, because even back during civil rights, you had people like Stokely Carmichael and Malcolm X who aligned themselves with the Palestinians when there was conflict in that region. Um, but it threatens to be a real stronghold in our politics, because you have a lot of Black people who are now saying that they just they're and checked out with politics. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to bother, and they are not voting for Biden. And I don't care whether it's Biden or not. I just say you you got to vote for whoever the opposite person of Trump, or next year we will find ourselves in a total autocracy. And it's going to be a nightmare for this country, because we will not have a democracy as we know it, or a republic, because they are willing to tear the country down to have their way.
Well, Trump has all but said that. He has all but said that already.
Mhm.
So,
And I mean, I don't know what anybody else is thinking on that, um, in regards to what's coming up or what's going on in Palestine. I don't know if anybody is abreast on what's happening there, or because
full transparency for me. I don't understand it. I have no idea what's going on.
the
I'm just
unfortunate
like,
part is there are a lot of people who don't understand it, because they try to make it so a simple thing as Palestinians against Israelis, and vice versa.
Jewish people, right?
But it has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with. It's not just all a matter of one people against another people. That's not even the issue. The issue is the territory. And all Jewish people are not aligned or down with what the Israeli government is doing. What the Israeli government doing is what is called a Zionist movement. So a Zionist is people who are aligned with the movement to settle Israelis in that region of the world, which is silly because, for one, that wasn't the original place that they wanted to have the Israelis settled after World War II, when they rescued Jewish people from Germany. That place was decided on later on, because originally they were saying that they might settle them in Ghana somewhere. And once they decided that they were going to send them to this area, it became an issue now of them taking over that territory. And now they've made alliances with America and other countries so that they could be the gatekeepers of that region for the not just for the oil, but for the in and out transportation in that region, so that they could, so America could have bases there, so that they could have territory. It has nothing really to do with religion. And unfortunately, as Christians also support Zionist movement, because they believe that the Israelis were promised that land from biblical times, and that you're not going to see the second coming of Christ until until they settle that issue in that region. Well, if you know your history, those German or European Jews were not the original Israelis the Bible is talking about. That's number one. And number two, as I said earlier, it went way beyond Jewish, Christian, Muslim. It's just a matter of greed and territory. And now you have a situation where Israel has occupied that area for over 60 some odd years. And these people have been living, Palestinian people have been living in a state of apartheid since 1948 when their land was taken over. And every so often they go back and renegotiate the lines of which that the area that they are supposed to occupy. But Israelis continually encroach on the areas where Palestinians are, to the point where they've taken up most of their land. These people cannot travel back and forth without certain papers and documents. In fact, it's so bad where if you lived in New York, let's just say, and you were Jewish, but you wanted to go back to the homeland of Israel, you could literally go back and decide to settle somewhere. Yes, that is what the Zionist movement is, that all Israelis from all over the world, at any time, if they wanted to move to Israel, they could. So if they weren't doing that, what would that do to the Palestinians that were there? It would displace them. But as I said, all Jewish people are not down with it. It's just Zionist Jews and Zionist Christians and Zionist Americans. And I think that we ought to be a little bit more informed because we send $4 billion a year to Israel for military to help them defend themselves against Palestinians and
Got money for
military.
wars and can't feed the poor.
Exactly. Whose rhyme is that again?
Tupac.
Tupac. There you go.
Got money for wars but can't feed the poor.
And that's
It's amazing how we come up with all of this money, all of these resources when it comes to things like this. I've always been perplexed. I have always been perplexed.
well, I'm not perplexed. That is another
The
area.
richest country in the world with so much homeless, but you got billions of dollars to send to fight a war. Make it make sense is where I'm at.
Mm,
Make it make sense. But you know, you could do, Nikki, you could do a whole master class on
uh,
all of that, you know, Palestine and Israel. You know, I get lost with some of those
well, my favorite.
political
You know who my
issues and
favorite president
agendas.
was, right? You know who my favorite
Favorite
president
what?
was? President
Who? Who?
Jimmy Carter.
Oh
Jimmy Carter.
God.
He was an expert on the Middle Eastern conflict. And all you have to do is listen to his description of it, and you will learn so much.
Where do you find it though?
I got one book in here.
Oh,
Well,
you
he got a book called Peace, Not Apartheid, that
okay.
talks about the Palestinian conflict. That's the first thing that I read. But I've watched him on hours of interviews talk about it.
Right.
But other people, this is the good thing about the internet, and now that people have access right at their fingertips. All they have to do is look it up there. There are people who are really giving you a great education on what's going on. There's another man called Chris Hedges. Anything you get that he's reading, or he has several books not on Palestine that I know of. I don't have those books, but I've listened to some of his talks, and he'll give you a great education. It's just a matter of what we look at when we go online. You could give yourself your own college education just by going online.
Right.
You know? So,
And
but anyway,
then
I think
sharing the knowledge and sharing the information.
Right.
So speaking of, because we just about that. Actually, we over time already,
Oh,
Nikki.
no, already we over.
But I wanted to share with all the listeners because I just learned about this person. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was channel surfing a person by the name of Bayard Rustin. You ever
Oh
heard of
yeah,
him?
that's the guy who helped Martin Luther.
He's the real guy who organized the March on Washington. It's
Well,
a
he is the guy who originally introduced Martin Luther King to nonviolence.
yeah.
That's who he is.
So I'm mentioning it. It's called Bayard Rustin. It's on Netflix. There's a film. The film has been. It sounds like it was produced by the Obamas. I do know they have like a
Mm.
film company or something. So if anybody's interested in watching that, that's a good look. And one other, Nikki and I both watched it. Stamped from the Beginning.
Mm.
That was another, both on Netflix. So if you're looking for something to watch and you get an opportunity to see either of these movies, I would certainly say take a second to view those. But before we say our goodbyes and Nikki
Wait,
signs us
before we say
off,
our
I just want
goodbyes,
to
I
say,
gotta say, wait, time out. Two things.
okay,
One, happy birthday, Christy Joy,
happy
and
birthday, Christy!
happy anniversary, Michelle.
Oh, thank
How many years,
you.
Michelle? How many years in the game?
Don't get me the lion.
Oh Lord,
I
don't
forgot.
tell me you don't know how many years you've been married. Girl, I'm praying for
I'm.
Severn.
I know.
I'm
Look.
gonna
I
pray
almost
for
forgot it. I almost forgot it was mine.
him.
But I remember Christy's birthday. No, I think it's 9 years now. I think it's
Nine.
9 years. Yeah.
Oh, it seems
But
like
thank
longer.
you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. But I did want to say to um all the ladies in the room, um, it's so good to see y'all again. It's so good to see y'all again. We have missed you, and it is just so good to be back here with you. We are hoping and praying that we can get back on a rotation, um, and just spend a little bit of time together. We got a lot of work to do, and we want to be able to do it together. Right? We want to really get back to needs where we are lifting each other up, encouraging each other, sharing information, sharing laughs, and I don't know, maybe even occasionally a good old cry, whatever it is. We want to be able to do that together. But we have missed you immensely, and thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing your faces in here. It is amazing to see all of you. We love y'all so much. We
Yeah,
really do. So,
and we miss you guys so much.
yes.
Oh, so I mean, we're gonna try and come back as often as we can, but a lot of times it's sometimes I don't have a voice. I mean, everybody already know what I was diagnosed with, and some days I can talk and some days I can't. And lately I've been able to talk. I've had breath and wind, and I was able to kind of get up here and get it done. So when I can, we'll come to you. So but we really miss you. But Michelle, so one of the users is asking, one of the viewers is asking us to talk about the Julia Roberts movie, but I forgot the name of it too. It was good though when Mahershala Ali.
Oh, you know I scrolled right past that because I thought it didn't look good. Was it good?
It was excellent to me.
Oh, I'm
In
gonna have to
fact,
go.
I'll tell you one thing. I wish I had read that earlier because I kind of liken it to what might happen if you guys mess around and let Trump get in. We'll be at the end. We'll be headed towards anarchy. But it was a. I liked the movie. I don't know if anybody else
I'm
like.
gonna go look at that.
A lot of people didn't like the way it ended, but to me, it was very comical. And if I tell you, it'll spoil it, so you have to watch it.
All right, we got a
Leave
lot
the
of
world
movies on
behind.
our
That's the
list.
name of the movie. It's called
And
Leave.
also, I heard a lot of people talking about Kindred. You just told me about that the other
About
night.
what?
Kindred.
Oh, Kindred was very good too, except I mean, when you get to the end, they're not gonna have a second season, so you get left hanging. But it's a good movie, yeah. Um, but yeah, the Leave the World Behind was pretty good. I liked it. And Mahershala Ali, I just
I
could watch.
like him.
I
I
could
like
watch him
him.
on screen all day. Not only is he fine, oof, but
Mm.
I like the symbolism in that movie. There is a lot of racial undertones in the movie that you'll pick up on, but trying to think what else you could say about it. But it's a lot of symbolism in the movie, but a lot of it I could see coming to fruition if we're not careful as a society.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying hello to Miss Christy.
We love you more, Z.
Uh, is that really made me start Lipscomb money? I love her. I love her so much.
Made me
I
know
love
that's
her.
my girl.
It's been a long time since I've seen my New Jersey family. Well, except for the girls that come down. So my girls that come down, I see them. So I'm just saying that to start trouble to say I'm looking for somebody else on here to come down. A few
Hmm.
people come visit me. We have a good time. We eat well, right, Michelle?
Yes, for sure.
So, with that said, Michelle, can you just close us out here and trying to get through some of the comments as we leave? Again, thank you guys for spending the time with us. You could be doing anything for this hour and 7 minutes, and you chose to spend it with us, and for that, we are very grateful.
Very grateful. I think we did it, Nikki.
Did it?
I think we did. I think we did it. I think we did.
Okay.
Just can't thank you enough. Just the support is amazing. Can't even find the words. Um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to us being able to get together again in the real near future. In the meantime, it is brand new year, brand new day, another day to wake up and get it right, another day to be grateful for. Looking forward to being able to spend some more time with you ladies. And in the meantime and in between time, just go out there and be great. Go out there and be great.
Bye.
Bye.